Thank you. We'll call this meeting to order. We do have a quorum. All 5 selectmen are here. First up on our agenda is the consent agenda. It's a bottle club registration for the AMVETS.
Would move we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Next up, act on the draft of the town warrant. We'll go down through it article by article to make sure everything is correct. And do we want to vote on each article separately, or do we want to kind of make changes and vote on everything at the end?
I would go with the second option.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking, make it simpler.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, Article 1, to choose a moderator to preside at said meeting. I believe that's pretty straightforward.
Do we have one?
Yes, we do, actually.
Okay.
Article 2, to elect all, I
Who is
believe
it?
it's going to be Gary.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Gary's
really?
gonna do it. Oh, okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice of him.
Article 2, to elect all municipal officers, school committee members, and budget committee members as are required to be elected. Same, and it's actually mentioned up in the greetings that Article 1 is by secret ballot, or no, secret ballot on Article 2 and 3, which would be the ballot election.
Friday night.
Yeah, or Friday all day, yeah.
Right.
Article 3, to vote on the following referendum question. The wording of this comes directly from the state, and it was suggested by our attorney that we include the financial statement in this because it does mention or otherwise pledge the credit of the town of Durham in an amount not to exceed $50,000 for this purpose, although we probably will not be bonding because we can just do it on a commitment. But because of the wording, it was suggested that we have the financial statement on this. Article 4, to see if the town will vote to adopt the Maine Moderator's Manual Rule of Procedure 6th edition as the rules for the order of this meeting. Another procedural. Article 5, to see if the town will vote that all warrant articles over 40,000 be voted on by written ballot. This shall not include items such as contracts and bonds into which the town has previously entered into good faith. This was a question that was requested by the committee that looked at
The alternative warrant committee.
the alternative warrant committee. They requested that we put this article on here for this year. Article 6, to see if the town will vote to appropriate $195,587 from undesignated funds to correct a clerical error for the budget year 2015. And there's a note there that explains it. Article 7, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate and/or appropriate for administration expenses. And the numbers are down there. I don't have a calculator to check them, but you said you have.
I've been checking them and checking them once and checking them twice, but
Basically, if you see anything that you want to change or discuss, let me know. Article 8, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and or appropriate for animal control. And the number's there. Article 9, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and or appropriate for assessing. Article 10, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and or appropriate for cemeteries. Article 11, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and or appropriate for conservation. Article 12, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and or appropriate for social and community service agencies. You know, community concepts is one of the ones that we recommended, right? That's the only one I have a question on. Okay. To see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and or appropriate for the Eureka Community Center. And Article 14, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and or appropriate from the Eureka Community Center fundraising fund to reimburse the emergency fund which was utilized to repair the sinkhole at the Eureka Center. Number 15, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and or appropriate for Durham Fire and Rescue operating budget. Number 16, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and or appropriate for the for fire and rescue capital improvement account. Number 17, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and or appropriate for the fire and rescue capital improvement projects. Do you want the numbers?
Yeah,
Because
I have a copy of what was the draft, I think.
yeah, okay.
it was just printed out a little bit ago.
Yeah.
This one.
Okay, Article 18. Article 18, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and or appropriate for the annual loan payment for the fire station, payment 5 of 5 refinance. And Article 19, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and or appropriate for the annual bond payment for the Quint Ladder fire truck, payment 3 of 6.
Is it 3 or 6 or 2?
This one is 3, because we paid like 40,000 the first year,
Okay.
and then we paid last year the 304. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Article 20, and to see if the town of Durham will vote, 1, to approve the purchase of a fire truck, the project, with a total anticipated cost of up to $474,000, and 2, appropriate an amount $474,000 for the project, and to fund the appropriation, authorize the treasurer and chairman of the Board of Selectmen to issue general obligation bonds of the town of Durham, including temporary notes in anticipation of the sale thereof, in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $474,000. And 4, to delegate the treasurer and chairman of the Board of Selectmen the discretion to fix the dates, maturities, interest rates, denominations, places of payment, form, and other detail of said general obligation bonds, including execution and delivery of said general obligation bonds, and to provide for the sale thereof, as well as the negotiation and execution of any loan agreement necessary with any party. And our financial statement follows. On this one, this is the only one with any difference between the selectmen and the budget committee. Selectmen put forth no recommendation, budget committee recommended. I will ask specifically, is there any thought from the board to change or to look to change what we have here?
For me, with some of the added information that we got the other night at the last meeting when we was talking about the budget and the savings that we'd have if we do it now as opposed to pushing it out another whole year, which could amount to extra 20,000 or more. And since the payment wouldn't be due till after the payment the fire station is finished, and it could be possibly 17, maybe 18, depending on how the finance is done, Bill, that the first payment of this would be due.
Yeah, the safe thing is to figure that it'd be 17, depending on how everything's structured. It could be 18, but would rather not mark it.
Right, but it wouldn't be until after that's paid for, so it's not gonna be added to what we're already paying thing. So, and with some of that information and more discussion about it, I guess at this point, I wouldn't have any problems recommending, my 1/5 recommended, that we recommend that this go forward.
I stay the same, no recommendation.
Do you want to make a motion?
Yes, I'm sorry, that is a motion. I make a motion that we recommend that it goes forward.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
discussion? You've already.
Pretty much that's, that was my thought process. I kind of compared that information to the information we was using with our town trucks, and when we first originally paid for them, bought them, and then 2 years later, the difference for the identical truck, basically, but 2 years newer, how much more the cost is. So that's kind of what I based it on.
Any other discussion on this? All in favor of recommending the purchase of the fire truck? Opposed? Motion does carry. Article 21, to see what sum of the money the town will vote to raise and or appropriate for general assistance. And, yes.
Excuse me, Jeff. Do I simply put selectmen recommend or selectmen vote 3-2 in favor? Or how do you want that to read?
Yeah, Jeff, how do you want that to read?
I would probably put it in there that selectmen recommend 3-2 vote. That's how I would.
It would, as far as for the, what would go on the warrant, it would basically go to Selectmen and Budget Committee recommend.
Okay.
As far as for your minutes,
Right.
you would
You
put,
want me
you'd
to-
put
yes.
3-2, but nowhere else do we say what the vote was.
Exactly,
Yeah.
okay, thank
I
you.
mean, that can be discussed at town meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure it will.
That was Article 21. Right. We did Article 21. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, I read that. Okay. Article 22, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and or appropriate for Parks and Recreation. Article 23, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and or appropriate for Planning Board, Appeals, and Historic District Commission. Article 24, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and or appropriate for Public Works. Article 25, to see what sum of money the town will vote to appropriate. Okay, that's why, okay. I was wondering why this one didn't have the raise. Okay, it's to see what sum of money the town will vote to appropriate for the Public Works Capital Reserve Fund. And these were the monies that were received from FEMA. Article 26, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and or appropriate for the Public Works Bond, annual bond payment 2 of 10. Article 27, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and or appropriate for the
Can-
public. Sorry?
Can we back up?
Yeah.
Because on Article 24, the Selectmen and Budget Committee recommend $1,555,439, transferring $787,759 from designated and raising $500,324. Those numbers don't add up. 787,759 and 500,324 does not equal 1,055,000.
No, this looks like it still has, it looks like the raise amount wasn't changed to reflect, the 2 bond payments that were originally on it.
Yeah.
So I can go grab my, book if we need to make sure we calculate it correctly, unless you have.
Give me a second.
That should be.
Sorry to slow down
No,
this.
no, we
I
that's-
want you, yeah,
That's
absolutely.
why we're.
It's about 230,000, 233,000 high.
Basically, what I'm gonna do is try to
260.
subtract the 2 bond payments out and see if I come up.
It is, or it's going to be really close.
Yeah.
just
It's
looking at
2,
it.
comes up to, let me see.
267,680.
What was that again?
267,680, it should be raised.
Okay, yeah.
everybody got-
287,
So, yes, it does. Yeah, if I subtract those out, it does equal the ones, 1,055,439, so.
so
Well,
that
let's
should
only raise it once.
be- yeah,
yes,
so that's
so-
267.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yep.
260
680. Yep.
Two, say again?
267, 680.
267,680. I make a motion that we change the raise amount to 267,680.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you for catching that. Okay, back to Article 27, the Public Works Building Bond, payment 2 of 10.
2 of 15.
2
I'm
of
gonna
15,
change
yes
that
it
one.
is. That's what I was just noticing.
Yeah.
I move that we change that to payment of 2 of 15
On 27.
on Article 27.
Okay, yeah. All right, I had a question mark there, so we're in.
Okay, who's gonna second that?
A
Second.
second.
All in favor? Motion carries. All set for that. Okay. Article 28, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and/or appropriate for the purchase of a new truck and snowplow package. Article 29, to see if the town will vote to, 1, approve a road construction and paving project including all engineering and associated costs therewith, the project with a total anticipated cost of up to $1,100,000, and to appropriate an amount of $1,100,000 for the project, and to fund the appropriation, authorize the treasurer and the chairman of the Board of Selectmen to issue general obligation bonds of the town of Durham, including temporary notes in anticipation of the sale thereof, in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $1,100,000, and to delegate to the treasurer and the chairman of the Board of Selectmen the discretion to fix the dates, maturities, interest rates, denominations, places of payment, form, and other detail of said general obligation bonds, including execution and delivery of said general obligation bonds, and to provide for the sale thereof, as well as the negotiation and execution of any loan agreement necessary with any party, also following the financial statement. Article 30, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and/or appropriate for solid waste. Article 31, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and/or appropriate for telecommunications. Article 32, to see if the town will vote to increase the maximum property tax levy limit established by state law in the event the municipal budget approved at this town meeting results in a tax commitment in excess of the maximum property tax levy otherwise allowable. This requires a written ballot, and it mentions the levy limit as well. Article 33, shall an ordinance to amend the town of Durham ordinances to, 1, repeal the 2005 land use ordinance amended by town meetings 2006, 7, 8, 9, 14, the 2005 subdivision ordinance amended by town meeting in 2007 and 2008, the backlot development ordinance enacted in June of 1988, and amended by town meeting in 2014, the groundwater protection ordinance enacted in March of 1988, and to 2, adopt the land use ordinance which incorporates provisions for subdivision, backlot development, and groundwater protection as proposed. And this is proposed by the planning board of the town of Durham.
And there was a public hearing on this as well.
Yes.
There were 2 public hearings.
That's what I thought.
So, and the true copy of the text will be available. Article 34, Shall an ordinance to amend the Town of Durham ordinances to, 1, repeal the Historic District ordinance enacted by Town Meeting 2005, and 2, adopt the Historic District ordinance as proposed? And this is proposed by the Historic District Commission. And that was that one included in the hearings as well? Okay. Article 35. To see if the town will vote to recommend holding a secret ballot referendum election in accordance with Title 30A and Title 21A to be held after Town Meeting 2017 to approve all warrant articles in excess of $50,000. This referendum shall not include any items such as contracts and bonds into which the town has previously entered into good faith, nor shall it include any initial votes to approve bonds.
Is that supposed to be 40,000?
I believe the amount was 50, wasn't it? And 40, it was 40 for the other article.
It was
which
40 for this year.
for this
at
year
town meeting.
at town meeting, but I think it was 50 for
I thought it was 40 all the time. That's the way I
I don't
understand.
know.
Obviously, I thought it was-
Terry didn't have an issue with the
Okay.
because Terry came to us after one
Right.
of our meetings and
Okay, I remember talking about it, that's why I was, just want to be sure.
Note this is an advisory vote and is not binding on the selectmen because we don't have a charter. Also note that the next three articles are dependent upon this.
Doesn't Article 5 kind of supersede that? I mean,
Well, that's for this year.
That's only this year. That's for this town meeting
Right.
because they wanted something in place for this town meeting.
the other one kind of is for
Kind
going
of
forward.
goes.
Question that I had on the language of 35 and 36 is it appears to only deal with 2017. Are they contemplating this as the new process moving forward? This seems to only authorize it for 1 year.
This is only authorizing it for 1 year, so if it was to continue, we'd have to redo it next year. I don't know if the purpose was to give it a 1 year trial.
I think that's what it was.
And next year we'd come back with a more permanent vote, or whether this would be something that would pop up every year. I don't know what the
I
intention
think it's
was.
more something would pop up every year.
Was that the intention of the warrant committee? I mean,
I don't know.
we have the option to make changes to what they recommended, but I don't know if that was
Right,
the
I just was
intention.
trying to get a sense of what the intent was, because clearly it's just.
I was thinking it was, they wanted to see how this goes. They had information from other towns, but being their demographics is different than Durham, there may be some changes, I guess.
Unfortunately, we actually won't know at the town meeting next year how it went because we're gonna be in the middle of the process. So.
Well, if there's somebody there at the town meeting this year, they can explain this. And/or if they choose to change it, they can change it. Make the motion on the floor, can't they?
I'm not sure if you can amend the wording of articles like that. You can amend amounts if you say to see what sum. But when you put the wording on an article, I'm not sure you can actually change the wording of that article.
It'd have to be an up or down and then a new
So
article proposed.
you could, yeah, well, I don't even know that you could, I don't even know you could propose a new article. The only things I can think of that you could put into this that would make it so you could make it amendable is say to see if the town will vote to hold a secret ballot referendum, blah, 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 to be held after town meeting of which, and of what years, or something like that, so you give a chance that somebody can say, I suggest 2017 and 18, or all years following, and then,
So you think the only thing that's amendable on town floor is the timing, is the number of years?
and that's only if we change the wording of this article, because the way the article is written, it's hard, the number, that and the 50,000 are hard written into this.
I would change that, and
And-
if anybody wants to speak up, they can, and if they're not, then they.
And so those are the only two things I could see in excess of,
So you want to just cross out the 2017?
Well,
Town meeting,
I'm trying to make it so it's amendable, but I've got to see if the town will vote to recommend. But I'm trying to think of, because on the other ones, to make it so you can amend it and change things, it says to see what sum of money. So you could use that probably to approve all warrant articles in excess of what sum of money, and then you would include that in your motion.
So you want to leave that blank, the in excess of, and then just leave that as a blank number?
Yes, and down below I would say the something like the warrant. The alternative warrant committee recommends $50,000, and maybe do a blank under the 2017 as well. I would check with MMA on how to do this to make sure we do it right.
yeah, they might say 2017 through and leave that blank, who knows?
Yeah.
So, and then, but that is the only. I believe that's the only way that you can actually manipulate the wording of it.
The warrant.
So I'll move that we amend this article to make the year and the amount, the warrant article amount, be amendable in whatever way that we can. And that way you can communicate with whoever to make sure we get the wording right.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? While you're working on that. Article 36, to see if the town will vote to move town meeting to the third Saturday in March 2017 to accommodate the referendum vote. And I think I would do the same on this. I'll make a motion that we do the same on this article.
Right.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries. Do I need to stop for you to catch up, Ruth, or are you all set?
So you want to get rid of March 2017, basically?
Third Saturday in March and a blank for whatever we can do to make that. So it would match what we do in Article 35.
Right. If it all gets voted down, I ain't gonna worry about it.
Right.
All set?
Yep.
Okay. Article 37, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to spend an amount not to exceed an average of the past 3 accepted annual budget amounts for those budgets to be voted on by referendum, excepting public works, until a budget is passed.
So I have a question about 37 and 38. If, I understand that 35 is advisory, and the actual structuring of that the Board of Selectmen has some discretion. Are 37 and 38 also advisory, or are they binding?
They would be, the way they're written, they would be binding, but
That would be-
they don't say we have to spend that amount.
They don't, but my concern is that if we're going in planning a budget, any department head planning a budget, knowing that there's gonna be this ballot and you're gonna be limited to the average of your previous 2 budgets, which is generally, in most instances, budgets go up at least a little bit every year. So if it's the average of your previous 2 years, it's gonna be probably a little bit less than you had this year. It does create some, I wouldn't say incentive, but a reason to make sure you've got a little bit of extra in your budget so that the average number comes out enough to cover. I just think it creates an opportunity to, or not even an opportunity, but people may end up having to sort of manipulate their budgets around to make sure that they're expenses are covered, because
So,
this is after the fact and they're having to deal with the previous, basically the previous year's budget number for 6 months of the year. It's a funny,
well,
Kind
what
of a
it- I
funny
mean, I
system.
guess what it's doing is it's allowing us to basically continue the operation. If they, because we're only allowed to put one number on the ballot, and yes or no.
Absolutely.
So if it gets voted down, their budget amount for that year will be last year's budget. And
it won't be last year's budget, it will be the
the average,
average
yeah, that's
of
true.
the
It'll be
previous
less.
2 years, so it's
Yeah.
gonna be
Than last
even
year's
less
budget.
than
That's
last
true.
year's.
But it's
Which
also,
creates an incentive to boost your budget a little
Well,
bit so
but-
that you can
but it's
cover
also
that
until a
less.
budget is passed.
Yeah, I
So-
mean, so we could go back, we could put it back out to referendum again.
Right. So you
Which
can-
is
Right,
gonna cost
but
more.
again, you're 6 months into the year working with numbers that are less than your previous year's budget, and I
It
think
costs
that
us
that
$1,000 every time we vote on it.
creates problems for department heads to try to figure out, I spent X last year, now I can spend even less than that, and the cost of everything has gone up, and
But
I see a lot of good intentions here.
if they, I'm kind of guessing what I'm hearing is you're concerned that they take whatever they spent last year, what they need this year, but they're gonna boost a little bit just to cover their butts.
The thing
well, I
is,
mean, there is certainly that
Right,
potential,
but
it's-
or they get caught, in June, and we don't have a budget yet, and they're
Right. But if they,
gonna be
we
cut
have the,
short, and that's a really hard thing to have to try to get through the remaining 6 months of the year when
Because
you're
if it's
already
an
behind.
average of the past 3 years, and even if you've had a 3% increase every 3 years, you're still looking at a average of those, so you've got to account for those smaller years. You're actually gonna be working with
right, but
less
if you've
money
got,
than you
if
had.
you've got the actual numbers of what they spent those 3 years, and then they come up with a budget compared to last year that looks out there more than it should, that's where us comes in and says, I think we can cut that back.
well,
Yeah.
so as
Yeah.
But
far-
I'm saying that they may need to do that a little bit in order to
but as
cover the.
As far as doing that, they still have to go through the budget process, and from both the selectmen and the budget committee, looking at looking at what they're asking for. And for next year, it's going to be on budgets that have already been created. So
Absolutely.
there's no I
I
don't
just
see
think
any
that
buffering
potentially
there.
ties the hands a little bit of our department heads.
I do
trying
think
to-
I do agree that it ties the could
to
tie the
juggle
hand.
figuring out how to make
Wow.
that work.
I guess that would give us incentive to try to get things, get something that can be passed, but,
I think that's what we've always tried to do.
right. But,
Absolutely.
We try to be pretty fair both ways. You can't be bare bones, but you can't be, they say in a savings account, so you can't have too much extra in there. I mean, we try to stay pretty tight, and I think the last 2 or 3 years, or 3 or 4 years that I've been there, to the town meetings and on this side, it appears as though both entities, the budget committee and the selectmen, have really tried to get that down where it makes sense, and there isn't gonna be a lot of, well, why have you got an extra 30,000 in there when you really don't need it type of thing. Or
Right, I just think because of the nature of because we don't commit taxes till halfway through our budget year, I think that this has the potential to create a tough financial situation for the town if we're working on an assumption of
I mean-
less than the previous year's budget while we wait for the next budget to
it's,
get passed.
that is the case, though, I think that could be something that can be brought up on town floor too. I mean, these are what basically was recommended to us by the committee, and we've tried to work with it as much as we can to make these workable, sending them to the lawyer and things like that, but this is what their recommendation was.
Absolutely, I just was trying to
Yeah.
sort of get my brain around how it was
The
gonna.
lawyer doesn't recommend any of this, just so.
I realize
Right.
that, but he recommended some wording to make sure that our bonds and things like that would
Right.
be valid.
Right.
Let me ask this question, because somewhere in here, I don't know which article it is, it talks about being able to spend 4/12.
That's for a regular, yes.
Okay, so that, you couldn't do that, you couldn't use that into this part.
No, this is the total,
Right,
the total amount that they could spend. So if this goes past April
right.
and so on.
Okay, that's
Right,
right.
really the only way to solve, or the way to solve that is to change our fiscal year. And so that we are committing taxes for the upcoming, so that they're on,
Right.
Our fiscal year and have our town meeting occur before the fiscal year starts.
right.
Okay. So I read 37. 38 is very similar, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to spend an amount not to exceed an average of the past 2 accepted public works budgets amounts until a budget is passed, and that's because we've only had 2 years' worth. Article 39, to see if the town will vote to authorize the selectmen after public hearing to seek, accept, and distribute grant funds from private, state, or federal agencies for the purpose so designated in each specific grant. I'd like a opinion on this one at some point, because do we actually have to hold a true public, with the wording of this, do we actually have to hold a true public hearing to accept these grants? Because we haven't.
That would, the language certainly suggests
Yes,
that we have to have a public
so we
hearing.
may need to look into that in the future, how we accept grants, that we actually hold a public hearing. Article 40, to see what action the town will take in regard to fixing interest on delinquent taxes and establishing a date for interest to start. Taxes are to be due when committed. Interest shall start on all unpaid taxes 30 days from the date of commitment. The interest rate on delinquent taxes shall be 7% per annum.
I didn't like the wording of this one, but I wasn't really sure how to change it, because our commitment, because of the way we print our tax bills, we generally commit about 2 weeks before we send the tax bills. And the due date is actually 30 days from the date that we send the tax bills, not the date of the commitment.
Interest shall start on all unpaid taxes 30 days from the date of
Billing,
mailing or bill,
invoicing,
from the date of
or make it
bill,
40,
the print, date of printing, or
or make it 45 days from the date of commitment, to
We could do it that way.
catch
Yeah, that'll
those 2
cover it.
weeks.
Yeah,
Okay.
45.
So I make, was that a motion to do that?
I would move that we change the interest to start accruing 45 days from the date of commitment to accommodate the 2 weeks between commitment and mailing.
Second.
Could you just, give me the last part of the sentence that dropped
To
off?
accommodate the 2 weeks between commitment and mailing of tax bills.
Okay, thanks.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Article 41, to see if the town will vote to leave the appointments of standing committee members and minor officials in the hands of the Board of Selectmen. Article 42, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to dispose of any town-owned property which they deem is no longer needed or usable by the town, or on such terms as they deem advisable. Check the spelling on the word usable. I'm not sure that there's an E in there.
There is no E in usable.
All right?
I don't think so.
That's the way I spell it.
Well, at the end, but there's none in the middle. Article 43, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen on behalf of the town to sell and dispose of any real estate acquired by the town for non-payment of real estate taxes thereon, on such terms as they deem advisable, and to execute quit claim deeds thereon. Article 44, to see if the town will vote to set the interest rate to be paid by the town on abated taxes at 3% pursuant to 36 MRSA paragraph 506. Article 45, to see if the town will vote to authorize the tax collector or treasurer to accept prepayments of taxes not yet committed pursuant to 36 MRSA, paragraph 506. Article 46, to see if the town will authorize the Board of Selectmen to resolve any disputes with parties having an interest adverse to that of the town, which do not involve the expenditure of public funds, or where there are sufficient funds budgeted in budgeted accounts to allow payment of any claim which is to be settled. Article 47, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to spend an amount not to exceed 4/12 of the budget amount in each category of the Town of Durham annual budget during the period from January 1st, 2017 to the close of the annual town meeting. And Article 48, to see if the town will vote to authorize the treasurer and administrative assistant to borrow money on notes countersigned by at least 3 selectmen to pay for the town operating costs of the town.
So those are tax anticipation notes?
Yes, basically. Any other discussion on the warrant?
Ask a question. I'm just curious on the turnaround time for public hearing. I don't remember that saying public hearing before, and I'm just curious what the,
I believe it needs at least 7 days' notice. So,
basically you have to come before your meeting, you'd have to authorize a public hearing. So would it be like maybe a month, maybe?
yeah, a month at the most, I would think.
I was only asking because some of the grants, if they had a quick turnaround time,
I mean,
it'd
if
be foolhardy to even put in for them in the first.
if you know that they have a quick turnaround,
Most of them a month.
you could always call, and I think I can the chair of the Board of Selectmen call for a public hearing within 10 days, or does it have to be called by the whole board?
Can we take out the language of public hearing? Is that required?
That's a good question too, whether it's actually required.
If, I don't recall that that had been in the warrant in previous
I
years.
don't recall it being worded that way, that's why I went out to see if I could find a copy. of the town
be
report.
ready for-
I thought it was
Oh, I
always
need
in
their
the
signatures.
discretion.
Yeah.
Right, and if we're not required by statute to hold a public hearing on grants, then
That's the case, let me look at that.
And if it's like a month's time frame, it may not be an issue. Most grants give you at least a month to accept or refuse.
So, can we find out if that is required? And I will make a motion. If it is not required, I move that we remove the words "after public hearing" from Article 39.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. If it is required, then obviously we can't.
Do we know what the tax burden on this part would be? I know we gotta have the schools and stuff. Do we know what the percentage would be on this at this point?
It was like we dropped it to around 15, right around around 15%, I think, or something like that. But we'd have to.
Yeah, I'd have to take another look.
I don't think we should have numbers. But
If you finish printing your name there, then we don't need to sign. We only got 3 lines.
Yeah.
There's only 3 lines on it. In that, I'll move that we accept the warrant as we've amended tonight.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. All right, next on the agenda, we missed a meeting last night. I'm sorry, I completely forgot about it, and I would have reminded everybody last week at the meeting, if I remembered, there was a meeting with the selectmen of Pownell, the selectmen of Freeport, and the RSU last night, the RSU board. and I completely forgot about it.
Yeah,
And
it never made it onto my calendar, I missed it
And so-
completely.
I've asked Ruth to compose an apology letter to the other boards for us missing it, because it did reflect poorly on us.
I know, I thought it was like the
Already-
one night in ages, first Monday night I've been
I
home.
don't believe
when-
it. I thought when she mentioned it tonight, I thought that was the meeting you went to a couple weeks ago. There was a,
Well, that was the heads of the boards, basically, and then we were calling this one to discuss it as full boards.
Right, and I
I guess
thought
I
it was
missed
just
that.
the heads again.
And yeah, I completely forgot about it, and there was a reminder that was not sent on to us. So I just wanted to put that out there, and if everyone's okay with it, I'd like to send an apology letter.
yeah, that's fine.
All right, anything else tonight?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries. Have a good evening.
And now I saw Michelle's email, and I was like, oh, totally missed that one.
I thought it was that one you guys went to when she mentioned it. So,